of the universe. Proclaim. Listen, you slovenly bimbo bitch cop. Don't you know who I am? Some paltry, nothing disguise have you buffaloed? I'm the one you've been seeing in every news story for the past 3 days. You and half the world, Aretha baby. Proclaim. I planned and executed the crime of the century so perfectly. I'm already bigger than John Wayne Gacy, Jeffrey Dahmer, Juan Corona. Everything went right until the rich little blue boy got sick on me. Proclaim. Look real close. Take a good look at me. Be a goddamn hero for once in your life. Be something besides a fat black zero on the freeway of love. Look at me, will you? Look at me! She handed back his change. Merry Christmas, sir. Gary Sinise shrugged. Merry Christmas back at you, he said. As he pulled away from the blinking lights of the toll booth, he imagined the policewoman with one of those smiling, have-a-nice-day heads on her. He mind-pictured a whole country full of those smiley balloon faces. It was happening, too. It was getting worse than the invasion of the body snatchers, actually. Drove him crazy if he thought about it, which he tried not to do. Country of smiling balloon heads. He loved Stephen King, identified with his weirdness, and wished the King would write about all the smiley fools in America. He could see the dust jacket for King's masterpiece. Balloon heads. 40 minutes later, Sinise pulled the trusty Saab off Route 413 in Crisfield, Maryland. He accelerated down the rutted dirt road to the old farmhouse. He had to smile, had to laugh at this point. He had them so completely fooled and bamboozled. Completely turned inside out. So far, they didn't know which way was up, down, or sideways. He already had the Lindbergh thing topped, didn't he? Now it was time to pull the mat out from under all the balloon heads again. Chapter 22. It was definitely showtime. A Federal Express courier had arrived at the FBI offices just before 10:30 on the morning of the 26th of December. He delivered the new message from the son of Lindbergh. We were called back to the crisis room on the second floor. The whole FBI staff seemed to be in there. This was it, and everybody knew it. Moments later, Special Agent Bill Thompson from Miami rushed in. He brandished one of those familiar-looking delivery service envelopes. Thompson carefully opened the orange and blue envelope in front of the entire group. He's going to let us see the message, only he's not going to read it to us. Jeb Klebner from the Secret Service cracked under his breath. Sampson and I were standing there with Kleppner and Jesse Flanagan. Oh, he doesn't want all the heat on this one, Jesse predicted. He'll share with us this time. Thompson was ready, up at the front. I have a message from Gary Sinise. It goes as follows. There's the number 1, Thompson read the message. Then, spelled out in letters, 10 million. On the next line, the number 2. Then the words, Disney World, Orlando, the Magic Kingdom. Next line, the number 3. Then, park at Pluto 24. Go across Seven Seas Lagoon on the ferry, not the monorail. 12:50 p.m. today. This will be finished by 1:15. Last line, Detective Alex Cross will deliver the ransom. Alone. It's signed, Son of Lindbergh. Bill Thompson looked up immediately. His eyes searched the crisis room. He had no trouble finding me in the audience. I can absolutely guarantee that his shock and surprise were nothing compared to mine. A hit of adrenaline had already mainlined its way into my system. What the hell did Sinise want with me? How did he know about me? Did he know how badly I wanted his ass now? There's no attempt at any negotiation. Special Agent Scorse began to make a fuss. Sinise just assumes we're going to deliver the 10 million. He does, I spoke up, and he's right. It's ultimately the family's call how and when a kidnap ransom gets paid. The Dunns had instructed us to pay Sinise unconditionally. Sonichi had probably guessed as much. That was undoubtedly the main reason why he'd chosen Maggie Rose. But why had he chosen me? Standing at my side, Sampson shook his head and muttered, "The Lord, he sure does work in mysterious ways." A half-dozen cars were waiting for us in the sun-baked parking lot behind the Bureau building. Bill Thompson, Jesse Flanagan, Kleppner, myself, and Sampson traveled in one of the FBI sedans. The securities and money went with us. Detective Alex Cross will deliver the ransom. The money had been put together late the previous night. It was a tremendously complex deal to get it accomplished so quickly, but Citibank and Morgan Stanley had cooperated. The Dunns and Gerald Goldberg had the power to get what they wanted, and had obviously exerted great pressure. As Sonichi had requested, $2 million of the ransom was in cash. The rest was in small diamonds and securities. The ransom was negotiable, and also very portable. It fit into an American Tourister suitcase. The trip from downtown Miami Beach to the Opa-locka West Airport took about 25 minutes. The flight would take another 40. That would get us into Orlando at approximately 11:45 a.m. It would be tight. "We can try to put a device on Cross." We listened as Agent Scorse talked over the radio to Thompson. "Portable radio transmitter. We've got one on board the plane." "I don't like that very much, Jerry," Thompson said. "I don't like it either," I said from the back seat. An understatement. "No bugs. That's out." I was still trying to understand how and why Sonichi had picked me. It didn't make sense. I thought that he might have read about me in the news coverage back in Washington. He had some good reason, I knew. There could be little or no doubt about that. "There'll be unbelievable crowds at that park," Thompson said once we were on board a Cessna 310 to Orlando. "That's the obvious reason he's chosen the Disney park. Lots of parents and kids at the Magic Kingdom, too. He just might be able to blend in with Maggie Dunn. He may have disguised her as well." "The Disney park fits into his pattern for big, important icons," I said. One theory in my notebooks was that Sonichi might have been an abused child himself. If so, he'd have nothing but rage and disdain for a place like Disney World, where good little kids get to go with their good mommies and daddies. "We've already got ground and aerial surveillance on the park," Scorse contributed. "Pictures are being piped into the crisis room in Washington right now. We're also filming Epcot and Pleasure Island, just in case he pulls a last-minute switch." I could just imagine the scene at the FBI crisis room on 10th Street. As many as a couple of dozen VIPs would be crowded in there. Each of them would have his own desk and a closed-circuit TV monitor. The aerial photography of Walt Disney World would be playing on all the monitors at once. The room's big board would be filled with facts. Exactly how many agents and other personnel were converging on the park at that moment. The number of exits. Every roadway in or out. Weather conditions. Size of the day's crowd. Number of Disney security people. But probably nothing about Gary Sonichi or Maggie Rose, or we would have heard about it. "I'm going to Disney World," one of the agents on board the plane cracked a joke. The pretty typical cop talk got some nervous laughter. Breaking the tension was good, and hard to achieve under the difficult circumstances. The whole notion of meeting up with a madman and a kidnapped little girl wasn't a nice one. Neither was the cold reality of the holiday crowds waiting for us at Disney World. We were told that more than 70,000 people were already inside the theme park and its parking areas. Still, this would be our best chance to get Sonichi. This might be our only chance. We rode to the Magic Kingdom in a special caravan, a police escort with flashing lights and sirens. We took the breakdown lane on I-4, passing all the regular traffic coming in from the airport. People packed into station wagons and minivans jeered or cheered our speedy progress. None of them had any idea who we were or why we were rushing to Disney World. Just VIPs going to see Mickey and Minnie. We got off at exit 26A, then proceeded along World Drive to the Auto Plaza. We arrived inside the parking area at a little past 12:15 p.m. That was cutting it extremely close, but Sonichi hadn't given us time to organize. Why Disney World? I kept trying to understand. Because Gary Sinigi had always wanted to go there as a kid and had never been allowed? Because he appreciated the almost neurotic efficiency of the well-run amusement park? It would have been relatively easy for Gary Sinigi to get into Disney World. But how was he going to get out? That was the most intriguing question of all. Chapter 23. Senior Disney attendants parked our cars in the Pluto section, row 24. A fiberglass tram was waiting there to pick us up and take us to the ferry. "Why do you think Sinigi asked for you?" Bill Thompson said as we were getting out of the car. "Any idea at all, Alex?" "Maybe he heard about me in the news stories back in Washington," I said. "Maybe he knows I'm a psychologist and that caught his attention. I'll be sure to ask him about that when I see him." "Just take it easy with him." Thompson offered some advice. "All we want is the girl back." "That's all I want," I told him. We were both exaggerating. We wanted Maggie Rose safe, but we also wanted to capture Sinigi. We wanted to burn him here at Disney World. Thompson put his arm around my shoulder as we stood in the parking area. There was some nice camaraderie for a change. Sampson, and also Jesse Flanagan, wished me good luck. The FBI agents were being supportive, for the time being at least. "How are you feeling?" Sampson pulled me aside for a moment. "You all right with all this shit? He asked for you, but you don't have to go." "I'm fine. He's not going to hurt me. I'm used to psychos, remember?" "You are a psycho, my man." I took the single suitcase with the ransom inside. I climbed onto the bright orange tram alone. Holding tightly to an overhead metal stirrup, I headed toward the Magic Kingdom, where I was to make the exchange for Maggie Rose Dunn. It was 12:44 p.m. I was 6 minutes early. No one paid much attention to me as I moved with the congealed flow of people toward rows of ticket booths and turnstiles at the Magic Kingdom Ticket Center. Why should they? That had to be Sinigi's idea for choosing the crowded location. I clutched the suitcase tighter. I felt that as long as I had the ransom, I had a safety line to Maggie Rose. Had he dared to bring the little girl with him? Was he here himself? Or was all this a test for us? Anything was possible now. The mood of the Disney World crowd was lighthearted and relaxed. These were mostly family vacationers, having fun under the bright cornflower blue skies. A pleasant announcer's voice was chanting, "Take small children by the hand. Do not forget your personal belongings, and enjoy your stay at the Magic Kingdom." No matter how jaded you might be, the Fantasyland was captivating. Everything was incredibly clean and safe. You couldn't help feeling completely protected, which was so goddamn weird for me. Mickey Mouse, Goofy, and Snow White greeted everybody at the front gates. The park was immaculate. Yankee Doodle Dandy played from loudspeakers, cleverly hidden somewhere in the manicured shrubbery. I could feel my heart pounding under a loose-fitting sports shirt. I was out of touch with all my backup for the moment. It would be that way until I was physically in the Magic Kingdom. Palms of my hands were clammy, and I wiped them against my trousers. Mickey Mouse was shaking hands right in front of me. This was nuts. I had just entered an area of deep shadows cast from the Transportation and Ticket Center. The ferry was visible, a miniature Mississippi riverboat without the paddle wheel. A man wearing a sport jacket and brimmed hat slid alongside me. I didn't know if it was Sinigi. The sense of Disney World's safety and protection was broken immediately. "Change of plans, Alex. I'll take you to see Maggie Rose now. Keep looking straight ahead, please. You're doing super so far. Just keep it up and we're home safe." A 6-foot-tall Cinderella walked past us, heading in the opposite direction. Children and adults oohed and awed at her. "Just turn around now, Alex. We're going to walk back the same way you came in. This can be a day at the beach. It's up to you, my friend." He was perfectly calm and in control, the way Sinigi had been throughout the kidnapping. There was an aura of invincibility around everything so far. He had called me Alex. We began to walk back against the flow of the crowd. Cinderella's coiffed head of blonde curls bobbed along ahead of us. Children laughed with delight as they saw the movie and cartoon heroine come to life. "I have to see Maggie Rose first," was the only thing I said to the man in the brimmed hat. Could he be Senigi in disguise? I couldn't tell. I needed to get a better look at him.